So
Good.
again, thank you
Thank you.
guys, everybody, for joining us today. I'm very excited for today's webinar. And I would like to introduce TV hosts Vivian Gaspar and Ron Rossnick, who are going to talk with us today on how we can elevate our job interviews and speaking skills. So without further ado, I'll pass it off to you two.
Hello, is everyone doing? And what we'd like to do is cover the tips and tricks you may not have realized are crucial to having a competitive or a fantastic advantage. Everyone might know, perhaps, that there's over 4 million college graduates in this roughly 45 to 60-day span, but there are not 4 million jobs sitting and waiting for everyone. So it is really important to have a decisive advantage, and that is what Ron and I are here to provide. Not only have we created and produced 3 different broadcast TV shows the last 8 years, interviewing over 100 experts, but we've also trained them for between 3 to 5 hours each. And personally, I've been a recruiter several times in my life, interviewing, I'd say, over 500 people. And for our businesses, we've interviewed about 300 people and hiring over 100 in the last 8 years. So we're going to bring together all that collective information to benefit all of you. And we're going to start
Great.
off with our screen share for our
Yeah,
presentation.
but I'm really glad everyone is here. We have a lot of people. I've got Itsuki and Kalwa and Kitiara. Wow, these are challenging names for me. Thank you for the applause. Laika, hi, thanks for being here. Megan, Mia, Paula, Tracy, Tristan. Wow, great crew. If I missed anyone, I just can't pronounce it. That's probably why, but you could teach me later.
And I want to thank everyone here at the University of Hawaii, the Maui College, and I'm not sure if West Oahu was able to join us as we discussed, but it's wonderful to be here virtually in Hawaii with everyone from Florida where we are. And I wanted to start off with a little audience participation. Can everyone please put into their chat and let us know who here has already done Zoom job interviews so far?
Anyone?
Let's start it off.
Okay.
So can we do the raise hand icon for if you have already done a job interview over Zoom?
And that'll be your first test. You know how to use the software. Kitiara, thank you. Raised hand.
How many? We're looking here.
So I think, oh, good. Thumbs up is good too. Thank you for that. So I think it's really important to know your technology before you do an interview. So I did an interview with an intern that I wound up not accepting, and I told him why. I hope he was okay with that, but kind of get your technology in shape. Make sure your camera is clean, like, just clean it and do these things that make sure the audio is good. So we had a few people that already did an interview with Zoom. How many people think that in their future, between now and whenever, they might do another Zoom or any video interview? It could be FaceTime, it could be TikTok, whatever it is. Okay, now we got a lot of people. Well, two.
And it's really, and just so you know, from personal experience, my daughter just graduated college she did the walk-in May, but of course the official graduation at her college was July, believe it or not. And it did take her, and I'm not trying to dissuade anyone, I want everyone to be prepared that it did take her a total of 9 months to get a job in what she has her diploma in. It is very specialized. It's GIS, Geo Information Systems. But she had numerous interviews, and every single one of her job interviews initially, even those in her state, were over video. And that is just another encouraging piece as to why we're doing this and coupling all our experience, both as people who've hired a lot as well as producing TV shows. And as you can see, this has a lot of similarities. But what's very specific, and one of the top lessons I learned with her asking me questions, is we're going to go off with the basics, but it's extremely important. Background. Now, I want everyone to just be honest and tell us who here thinks it's a good idea to use a fake background, whether it makes it look like you're in an office space or a very wealthy home, maybe, or just a regular home.
Or the Golden Gate Bridge.
I was just going to say the Golden Gate Bridge, even though everybody here is in Hawaii.
Oh, and before we continue, Kim, is there any possibility to allow the chat box to be enabled? Because I I do think that having an open dialogue might be a good way for people watching to get a feel for this and remember some of this stuff. We may throw out a lot of tips and tricks, and some things may be very applicable to you. And by the time we're done, you may forget it. If you have an ability to record either the audio or the video portion of any of your interviews, whether you're interviewing for the best job you've ever had in the world or it's Chick-fil-A, um, record yourself so you can review and see how you can improve. We're always here screwing up, making mistakes. So make your mistakes, but don't make them again and again and again. Try to have some perspective to see what you have to do to improve in your communication, in your authenticity. I think in a job interview, be prepared, right? So you've been trained to be prepared by knowing about the company. So learn about the company so you can speak, but also when you're on camera, remember your frame. Like we wouldn't want you to be interviewing and look like this. This just doesn't work, right? It's just like talking mouths, right? So
you don't want to do that, but it is really important. And I'm going to jump in because that obviously caught me by surprise. That's what happens when there's two of us.
Yeah.
But really important. We may have heard a lot about the COVID jokes about being on camera. But I've actually heard a lot of people really do this about not wearing much on the bottom and only looking good from the waist up. Now, even if you think that that could be really true and you won't accidentally forget and stand up and show things, forget about that whole aspect. Forget about that.
Don't show too many things. Just show what you need to show.
But forget about all that. What matters is psychologically. Really important. Wear nice shoes, even though no one's going to see your shoes. Be 100% prepared, even though no one's going to see you stand up. Pretend that you are getting dressed exactly if you're going for the #1 most corporate job possible. I don't care if it's not. I don't care if they tell you they're a casual environment. If you've looked them up online or they've told you in an email that they're casual, it doesn't matter. No one will ever fault you from overdressing. So your entire, from your tips of your toes to your top of your head, are going to be, or best should be, the most professional possible, even when you're the only one who knows it.
Yeah, dress appropriately or better than appropriately. And part of that, there's a subconscious brain that exists in all of us that for many people and myself, we may suffer from something called imposter syndrome. Like, oh, I'm not good enough. And if you dress from head to toe, and even though you're not seeing the ripped jeans that I'm wearing right now.
He's not.
No, I am. In your subconscious mind or in your psyche, you may feel more confident, right? And then you'll be having good posture. You'll be able to articulate a little bit better. Give yourself the advantages that you deserve so the person you're speaking with gets, an authentic best you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to start this little slideshow that we have, if I can share the screen.
And wait, before we go there,
And wait,
I would
there's
like
one more thing.
one more thing. I wanted to make sure we do cover the background. So what you see behind us is truly a real background, and that is very important.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also important for 3 reasons. #1, psychologically, as Ron was just explaining, people will always wonder if they can tell it is a fake background. And you might just be hiding the fact that maybe you don't have the best furniture, or you have moving boxes behind you, or you think it's a good idea to do it in your bedroom and you don't want them to see your bed is behind you. The problem with that is if anyone can have the smallest indication that that is a fake background, then subconsciously, even if they say the words, oh, it's okay, no problem, they're just being nice, but they will wonder if that is fake or less than ingenuous or disingenuous about you. What else is there? Are you hiding something? Did you lie on your resume? Is there anything about you that they can't trust for some reason?
Right.
So it is much safer to watch what your background is. Wherever you know you're going to sit, take a picture in your selfie camera. Make sure it's well lit. Like right now, we watched our lighting.
Yeah, it's a
What's
little too
behind
lit
us.
on this side, but you can fix that too. Yeah, check your lighting before.
It's really important. Make sure you know your sound is good, but the real background, the honest to goodness, even if it's a little bit of a plainer wall, make sure it's not your bedroom. And I'll tell you from the experience
Well,
listening to my daughter, she thought she's, you know, fresh out of college, graduated in 4 years, the whole 9 yards. And she actually asked me, is it okay to have the bed in the background? I'm like, no, please go into the living room or the dining room and make sure there's a nice plain wall, but don't go too close to the wall because then you'll have a lot of shadow.
That's a lot of information. But some of you don't have a living room or a great room or a sunroom or the eighth bedroom. You're in a dorm. Just angle your camera in a place that doesn't show like your bed sheet shredded or a lot of mess or things the dog ate the other day or pizza from the weekend. Just have it look more crisp. Like be conscious of that background. That's all. Because your honesty does come through in reality.
Being a genuine person.
Right. So I think before you start an interview, get psyched up about it. This is an opportunity for you to either learn something new because you're going to screw up the interview, or succeed and get your dream job or get a stepping stone job. And every time you have a success, pat yourself on the back because that is a win. And stack your wins. They will really accelerate your growth, your success, your happiness, maybe your income. And so what we do sometimes is, I know Vivian does, before she's going to go on, she either plays a great song or does hypnosis or meditates, whatever your thing is, just to calm and center yourself or get yourself excited. And we do a presentation. We have this song we do, right?
And wait, before you play the song, there's something I want to do. Okay. Let's do it. Ready? Pause it.
What are we doing?
We are going to do the Superman stand. Superwoman, super person. Yes, we are.
Okay, I'm going to move this camera up here.
Everyone, wherever you are, let's do it together. Psychologically, everything we're going to tell you, we can substantiate with this the subconscious mind and how it interacts. Ron?
Okay.
Everyone, let's stand up. We're all standing? Perfect. So this might sound silly, but neurosurgeons do this. Neuroscientists.
Yes.
People who are very high level. Yeah. They do the same thing.
Yeah, if you're into biohacking or watch Dr. Huberman's podcast, you'll see that when you do a pose like this, and then open your head up, take a breath, there's something that's in your brainstem that just gives you more confidence, more capability, tells you yourself you're ready versus cowering.
Now that seems like an extreme, but this really does do something.
Right.
There's a reason top level people who have coaches, they pay $500-600 or more, $1,000. They tell them to do this. So let's start off with that exercise.
Right. So pump yourself up, do 15 push-ups if you want to do that, play a song, play a video, do something to prep your mind. And then when you're ready to do the interview, be your calm best self. But this is one of the songs that I think you guys may know, right? Have you heard of Eminem? Anybody? Anyone like Eminem these days? Do they know who Eminem is? Can you get the audio? The audio is on?
His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out. Time's up. Wow. Snap back to reality.
Okay. Vivian had enough of that.
Okay, so the bottom line is it's all in your subconscious.
Yeah, in your head.
And
get in the right mindset.
And right? It really matters. How that has to do with posture. So like I said, we've produced over 100 TV talk shows. They're aired in 25 countries, 27 states. We've won 4 awards, and the number one thing we always ask our clients to do and what we watch is posture. I know it sounds basic, but it isn't. What message you convey says enormous amounts about you, and that is really importantly conveyed when you're on the Zoom. Ron,
Yeah,
on the
I
videos.
agree. Yeah, sure thing.
And
So,
that means where your chin is,
yeah,
that you're smiling, that you're happy to be there. Because let me tell you, as
but not,
somebody who started 12 businesses, hiring hundreds of people, that I don't care if they were fresh out of college or if they're 50 years old. The most important thing is you want to be around the person who's looking to hire you, potentially. One of the other things they care about besides your aptitude and ability, will you be a pleasant person to be around? They know they need to mentor you, but it will be worth mentoring you if you add to the vitality of the work atmosphere. Even if you're working remotely a part of the time or in person, will you be a positive influence around the other people in the office? And that has to come through. That comes through that you feel engaged, that you appear engaged, that you look like a happy person. And that goes with your smiling and your posture.
well, it's a good setup for you to be prepared. The other thing you have to look for is the person interviewing you. Now, I think the Hawkins tone scale shows different states of human um, feeling, like whether someone's really sad or they have apathy or they're happy or they're going to nirvana soon. Um, Watch your interviewer. Don't be an exuberant bubble, pixie sprite bouncing around when they're just talking very straight. Be within their framework. Within 2 levels above is what you can get to be most effective and most persuasive. So if they're bubbly, try to match their exuberance. If they're just really a type A personality that's just regimented, just kind of temper yourself, match the dynamic. I think that's a really important thing to do. Always be authentic, though, right?
And a part of that, and the reason Ron's mentioning that, and when you do this in person, when you meet someone in person for your interview, God willing, it gets to that point, what you're going to do is have mirroring techniques. And this is from not just corporate level, not just in interviews, it's in sales. And I know many of you might think, well, I'm not in sales. You're selling yourself. And mirroring means, and along with what Ron just said, you're matching to a certain degree their energy level, their tonality, how hyper you are, how calm you are, if you talk too fast, if you talk too slow, all those aspects of your personality. Try really hard to observe how they are. And when they ask you a question and you're looking to speak, how are you responding? Go in line with what they're doing, and also their mannerisms. Are they leaning forward? You're leaning a little bit to show interest. Are they crossing your hands? It's best to not cross if possible. Try to mirror their gestures as well.
So I heard from Kalwa, and I really appreciate that. The audio is not the best quality. Is it too loud? Is it distorted? Can someone let me know? And we're going to see if we can fix that, possibly. How is the audio now? Oh, it's just a song. Okay, great. Fine on your end.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So you can use your microphone on your computer. We have little lavalier microphones that we clip in, and I connect this to this Zoom interface that is supposed to give us a slightly better audio, but I appreciate knowing that the sound was a little distorted. If you can test your computer or your phone with a friend or somebody and ask them, hey, does this sound good? Is the video good? I think that's a really smart thing to do. Pre-test your quality and the lighting. Like if the lighting's blown out, it may not it may not look very good. I'm going to give you an example. Like there's a window over here, and I'm just going to pull the curtain.
And that changes the lighting significantly.
And now you're aware that you could change lighting just by making simple changes. But if you don't know it's happening, you won't even know it exists. Now, is this lighting a little bit better? I think so. And there's a little stream going right in front of my head here. And that could be corrected too. You just make these little minor changes before you get on. And then when you get in, you won't be much of a distraction, or you'll be a little bit of a distraction, but not too much. Okay. So
you want to match their body language as after you engage with them. But the other really important part in regards to posture is where your feet are. You might think that nobody could see my feet. What does it matter? It changes your posture. Your shoulders will change. Your posture will change if your feet are crossed. So watch, if I change and I chose to cross my feet, it feels more awkward. but forgetting how it feels, it changed my posture of my shoulders. And you right now, your most important job is to focus on the engagement with the person speaking with you, interviewing you, and coming across to them is that you're interested in what they have to say, that you're watching your presentation, and it's a lot easier to do that when your feet are comfortably both flat on the floor. So I didn't want to forget to mention that in regards to posture.
So again, these are tips. Ultimately, you've got to be communicating and using and be a great listener. Like if your interviewer wants to talk more, then you just listen, because that's the number one communication skill, is listening, not speaking. We're speaking a lot now, but if we were in a real conversation, if you can just pause and let someone speak, let someone express themselves, you become more charismatic. So Charisma on Command is a great website for you to also check out if you want to be more charismatic, but do it appropriately. So we have a question on the screen. Can everyone read that question? How do you feel when suddenly asked to get hired based on an upcoming live Zoom meeting or lead a presentation to a group of people or one-on-one? How do you feel? Do you get exuberated and really excited, or do you get nervous?
Me personally?
Well, no, not you. I'm talking to the people out there. Or do you have what most people have, whether you are a young person or a student or an older person? Do you feel like nervous before it's happening because people are going to be judging you or have expectations? So let me know in the chat. Are you excited or are you nervous when you are ready to do a presentation or be on video? Obviously, definitely nervous. I get nervous. Yes, I used to get nervous. I still get nervous. Okay, nervous is a vocabulary word that human beings created to describe a feeling inside your body. And there's a couple of things you can do. One, again, redefine that word and say, I'm excited. And then take a long, deep breath. When you breathe and fully breathe, and not just in your shoulders, but in your diaphragm down below, like here, it tells your fight or flight system that the tiger is not going to eat you.
Now, as much as that sounds funny, that is really an epigenetic situation going on. It's what you don't realize. And it's really what's going on in your base, what is that, amygdala?
Yeah.
And it's something that's really important to realize, that breathing technique. And Ron is an expert at what we call box breathing, and he helps many of our TV guests with that. Ron, can you lead an example of box breathing?
I can. So I just wanted to show the slide that there's so many people that fear public speaking or fear speaking to other people, especially strangers, sometimes more than death. And remember, it's a subconscious thing. So box breathing helps force your amygdala, your fight or flight system, to say, it's okay, we're not going to be eaten alive today. And the way that is, there's different box breathing techniques, but a 4-4-7 is a great box breathing technique. Someone's coming in. Okay, if we can admit them, that'd be great. More the merrier. Even if you're late, we want to ostracize you. Yeah. Oh, great. Hi.
Director.
Yeah.
Julie's the director.
Wonderful. Hi, Julie.
Thank you for being here.
So you're just in time. We're talking about the fear of doing video presentation or public speaking, and we're going to go through an action technique to improve that fight or flight response, or de-escalate the fight or flight response using box breathing. 4-4-7 means you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for another 4 seconds, and then you breathe out for 7. So the breathing out part apparently has more power in that effect. So we take a longer breath out if you can. So on the count of 3, we're going to put our air down into our diaphragm. Remember, if you're packing your shoulders right away, like that, try to put it into where you really are supposed to be breathing. Fill up your lungs, not your chest, okay?
Is there a way to fix the issue that she's having?
What's the issue? It
So
seems the chat box is disabled. Again, the chat box is disabled.
Who's able to fix that?
So it's okay now. Okay, it's okay now. If anyone has another problem with the chat box, I guess.
Please let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Okay.
And the reason the box breathing is so important is when you calm down, it is crucial for how you are perceived. So think of it this way. A lot of people, when they're nervous, they speak very quickly because they feel like they just have to get out everything. You want to make sure the person interviews you, really likes you, and you come across likable. However, it's more important that when you're calm and you project that calmness, you come across more confidently. Yeah. And when you're more confident or come across more confident, or perceived more confidently, then people observe, or it appears to them that you know what your subject matter is, that you are comfortable and what you wrote down on your resume or who you project that you are and what you're knowledgeable in, whatever your major is or whatever your job you're going for, that they could be confident that you're being earnest and you're truly knowledgeable in the area that they're looking to hire you. So the calmer you speak, the more knowledgeable you come across, then the more confident you are, the more likely that they will perceive you as competent and likable. That is why that's so important, to be calm, speak slowly and confidently. And that's just one of many tricks on how to come across that way.
So one of the things to help you with imposter syndrome, which is the term that is colloquially used when you're nervous about getting up to speak in public, that's because you don't think you're good enough, or your subconscious mind is just kind of like quacking too much. We're going to do the box breathing technique. So Vivian, how about you do the breathing? And remember, you're going to put in your diaphragm, and I'll do the counting. So I really need all participation, because if you want to get the most out of this presentation, assume that everything we say is true and follow our directions. After it's over, you can go do your research and find things that we say that are true, or if it's not true, let us know. We're always ready to improve it and be righted from a wrong, right? Okay, so here we go on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Now take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now slowly let it out. Slow. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Now, something important I want to add to that.
Just how do you feel? Do you guys feel like a little more centered, a little more calm? Just feel the feeling. It's really important for you to acknowledge your physicality here. Okay, good. So that's one of the techniques. We really have a lot, but if we throw out too many things, you may not remember it. You know, a TED Talk is one idea.
Oh, that's right.
In this 1 hour or however long you can stay presentation, we're going to go through like things that we could have done a lot of TED Talks on, but we want to give you the best value right now.
And I just want to pause for a moment and remind everyone, if at all possible, I hope you're taking notes. And the reason I bring that up is not about taking in what we have to offer. It's take notes and make sure it's visible without being too overwhelming to the person who's interviewing you, because it demonstrates that you're interested and you care deeply about what they're saying. You care about the company, you care about the position, you care about how you could fit in comfortably into their culture, their environment, and you are confident and a team player, and that you will work well with everyone else in that company and that department. So by taking notes, that sends actually a lot of different signals. And even though it's over video, Zoom, Teams, however it is, let's face it, they could tell if you're doing this. You're not looking down too much, but you're making it kind of obvious that you're writing.
Right. Versus playing on your phone and trying to get to the next level in Clash of Clans or TikTok, right?
I hope not.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the box breathing, one thing I wanted to add is when you're exhaling, if you don't know if you noticed that I was doing it, I was doing a light audible exhale. And that's important because it sends that extra signal to your brain. It makes that box breathing that much more powerful. It really does accentuate that power when it comes to that fight or flight, calming the amygdala. It makes it that much more, useful in the purpose you're doing it.
And don't wait to do the box breathing. Practice box breathing or meditation, or go onto YouTube and look up Theta meditation for 7 minutes. Is a really cool video that someone's selling for like $50. You can watch it and listen to it on with headphones with binaural beats to kind of like center yourself and learn how to calm. It's really an important life skill that they don't always teach in school. Actually, they never taught in my school.
And I'm sure you can find the variation of that for free on YouTube, right?
Right. Look for something 7 minute theta binaural beat, and you'll find something. Yeah.
And to calm yourself down, that's one of the most important things, because
Yeah.
we're looking forward to providing you with information that you're not going to get tips from general just interview. This is what relates to how you're perceived on the video specifically. And besides everything in regards to your posture, what you're wearing is crucial and really important. I know there's a lot of people who have ADD, ADHD. Try to calm yourself also so you don't end up tapping a pen or moving around. Now, really
Or
important.
shaking your table. If
Right,
you notice when you
exactly.
shake your table, like things start moving.
Unless you're having an earthquake, don't do that.
People don't even know they're shaking the computer, and just put your computer on a table that is not going to get shaken or stirred, right?
Unless it's a martini.
Yeah.
So that means the reason I wore the bracelets was intentional. I have 2 bracelets. The problem is, unless you realize it, you don't want to accidentally make sounds. And that could be done numerous ways. As Rhonda said, at the shaking, the pen flicking, any nervous habit that comes across that way can and most likely will be perceived that, once again, you're feeling like you're disingenuous because you have to cover it up with something, or you're so nervous because maybe you didn't do so well and you don't have that much contribute. You're not coming across confidently. Calm perceived is confident.
But I want to add one more thing. If you are nervous and you are shaking your pen uncontrollably and you just can't stop, call it out. Like the elephant in the room you're better off just saying, "Wow, I feel so nervous. I'm not sure why, but I really want this. I really want this job, and I'll try to be more calm and less excited about it."
Yes, reframing it to excited versus nervous. Exactly.
Be authentic.
And one of the ways to do that, to really show the person interviewing you that that's really what it is, read up on them, go to LinkedIn, and maybe look on social media, find something that you can tell them about them, but in a very, very calm way, so it doesn't look like you're stalkerish a little bit, is to say that I'm so excited to talk to you about this because, and then name 1 or 2 specific things that shows that you did a little bit of homework without being a little stalkery, and say, I'm so nervous because you accomplished XYZ, and I might feel a little intimidated. That's complimentary to them while excusing any kind of nervousness on your part because that you're so impressed with them. So there's ways to kind of package that nervousness by complimenting your interviewer just a little bit and being gracious that way.
One of our anonymous attendees, one of the many anonymous attendees, asked about mirroring. We briefly talked about mirroring, and in the scope of this presentation, we're not going to get too deep into it. Mirroring is a really important human communication technique. If you don't have empathy, if you have Asperger's or some other challenges, you may not be able to mirror that easily, but you can learn about what it is.
It's practice,
a mother and a child, or a father and a child, will mirror each other, like do googly sounds. Like if you've got someone that's really bubbly and you're not so bubbly and you're pensive, as I read, there are techniques just to kind of create comfort within it, right? So again, this is like out of the scope. It's a longer conversation, but we can get you some sources, or we can have a follow-up and we can go into a whole hour of how to do mirroring. It really is a great technique, but it's a great technique for building rapport with anybody. If you have a family member that just you can't stand being around, or they can't stand being around you, or a sibling, if you learn this mirroring technique, it really creates relatability.
And in general, it also helps for socially, like when you're out dating or just with friends, but really important on the scope of professionalism. Even once you're hired, you're going to have parties to go to, or general gathering, and you will definitely more easily succeed in your career going forward if you're deemed to be more likable. And it is always going to help you if people perceive you as more likable, because you're gently mirroring. So if someone's leaning in, someone talks with their hands, they will think that it could be your nationality or your background or your culture that speaks with their hands. So subconsciously, they might think, wow, maybe have the same background as I do. And that might make them like you subconsciously just a little bit more. So there's little techniques,
yeah.
and that's the reason for it. They just want to find reasons to like you more.
Another technique that's not exactly mirroring, but somewhat, is restating what the interviewer's question is. Said, okay, so you asked the question like, what is my vision in the next 5 years? What would I like to be doing? And that's really important, because when I was creating my vision board, what I put up is I'd like to lead teams of people internationally so they can have more success in their careers. Something like that, just restate in a subtle way, not word for word, what the other person is saying, and they will feel like they're listened to. When you say what someone else says in your own words, it's powerful communication technique.
And to add to what Ron's saying, it's an excellent reminder. One of the reasons I love what he just said about having a vision board is it lets the person you're speaking with know that you take your future so seriously that you utilize tools such as a vision board, because everyone looking to hire someone wants to know that they have a path laid out for themselves, that they care about their future, they're doing steps to improve themselves. Self-improvement is a key to knowing that someone has their lives on track to go forward. And that is a wonderful thing to bring up when you find as almost like an excuse to bring it into the conversation, so you can let them know you have these tools that makes you want to be a better person. In their mind, they'll think, wow, that you're even a better employee and team player going forward at their company should they choose to hire you.
Right. So just to review, remember, breathe, smile, and be authentic. Vivian started out this talk talking about what looks good on Zoom. Now, Vivian wants to ask you a couple of questions. Everyone can see the screen right now. You see a screen with A, B, C, D, E, F, and so forth. Can everyone type in what they feel the best background would be in your webinar chat? Would it be A, plants, B, a bookshelf, C, your home, D, a blurred home, E, a blank wall, or F, a novelty screen with smiling walruses? So I've got E, which is a blank screen. I've got B, which is a bookshelf. I've got A or B. Anyone else? Oh, I've got C and E. I see A, B, or F. Great, great. I see. Wow, what a good conglomeration of various choices.
So here's what I'd like to know.
A lot of the choices are good. The ones that are not as good are the ones that make you look like you're hiding something. So consider you getting the best screen possible. Now, if you can only be in front of your bed that's unmade with old pizza from the weekend on it,
I hope not.
I think the walrus might be better, or the Golden Gate Bridge. But if you have any ability to have a nice background with some plants and some books, you may get the best response. Someone that's got books in the background makes them look like they actually read books. Even if you don't read books, books in the background can be helpful. Plants make you sound like a healthier person, right? Vivian, you were going to add?
Well, what I always think is best is clear, crisp background. So again, you have nothing to hide, and that it's decluttered. So if you notice, the background behind us is simple. So we have a couple of books and seashells. It's great if you have a photo in a frame, but you want to keep it clear, nothing blurred, very simple, because it's also a reflection on who you are as a person. And really, they're going to read into that background and kind of read into what they think about you. It says a lot about who you are. Just like we're going to hope that obviously you've been coached on what to wear, to be clean, crisp, clean makeup, or not a lot of jewelry, make sure there's nothing between your teeth, very easy, subtle makeup, guys to be clean shaven, or a nice clean beard. really watching. But in regards to how people perceive you, you always want to look that you're transparent and honest, because I think there was a study where, unfortunately, large percentage, I think it was over 60% of resumes had exaggerations or untruths on them. So people are aware of that, and they want to see indicators that could lead them to believe that that might be you. And one of those might be a background that's a little less than authentic.
What's next?
Wow, like,
Yeah.
just like, like that.
Better you just pause. And
What's that saying?
Yeah.
It's better to not say anything than to open your mouth and be proven right about not knowing something.
Yeah.
So, and it's also better to admit if you're not clear on an answer, instead of shuffling around it and pretending you know everything. Remember, someone who's interviewing a new college graduate is not expecting you to know everything. It's okay that when you passed, or even if you got A's, even just because you got an A or a B on a subject doesn't mean you know everything. And that is exactly what the person interviewing you is going to think. It's okay, just admit it, but do not drag it out trying to hide it with an like, and so forth.
Or even profanity. Some people think if they use profanities, it's really cool to give the middle finger on their Facebook photo or Instagram photo. I would, talk about the internet for a
that's
moment.
right. Yes, we're going to deviate from the actual interview.
Yeah.
Let's go into how people perceive you. It is extremely likely, nobody's going to guarantee anything, but it is extremely likely that they will have someone or themselves look you up on social, and they will make judgments about you based on what they see. Ron.
Yeah. So one tip, don't get photographed with alcohol or injecting yourself with anything. It just doesn't set a good tone. People are going to look for your photos on the internet. Interviewers do. I surely do.
Yes.
Okay.
You're actively interviewing right now.
And even if it's off the internet, you can still go to Wayback Machine and see what was there. So avoid pictures of you looking like a drunken skunk. Or it just said.
Wait, they might not know. Tell them about Wayback just in case.
Wayback, you guys probably know about Wayback.
Look at Wayback just in case.
Well,
if you deleted something, you could find it.
You could see websites from years ago that have been pulled off the internet. So keep your image good, on the internet. And I know people like to talk about themselves. Some people are influencers. Be an influencer. If your influencer shtick is to do certain things, then I guess you're going to do them. But you may limit some of the job opportunities. Those Wall Street firms, the JP Morgan, may not hire you if you're doing like crazy antics on the highway, throwing bottles of alcohol into the ocean. Like a whole bunch of kids got fined this past weekend for throwing bottles from their boat into the ocean in Boca Raton, Florida. And they had a drone following them and recording everything. And it's on the internet this week. My son talked about that. So, even if you're a little drunk, don't do socially inept things. Really.
And I've got to say, the other thing is, even though you're dressing perfectly or you're looking to appear as perfect as possible for your interview, going to the social, please watch how you're dressing. They will look you up, and they may decline to interview based upon the behavior you're demonstrating on how you're dressed on your socials. And it goes for male and female. And I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you. Ron and I are here to do nothing but help you. And how you appear has a lot to do they assess what your potential behavior is. And one of the reasons, to be honest with you, that they are going to care, and don't use that language, I just did it to exemplify the next thing we're going to say. To be honest with you, and Ron's going to say,
yes.
What? You were not but the reason they care is because they're going to be concerned. Are you going to show up to work on time Monday morning if you're partying a lot over the weekend? That is a very big concern. There's a huge number that, for example, March Madness with all the basketball, they have a statistic about how much money is lost in corporate productivity because of March Madness. How much money is lost the Monday after Super Bowl weekend because of people partying. Now, of course, that automatically make assumptions because of age, just graduating college. And that just like reasons why younger people have higher car insurance, they have to go by general information. Don't give them the assumption that they're right about you. When they deep dive your social, prove to them that you're just happen to be out of college, but you're a responsible person who cares tremendously about your future, and you don't party. That is not who you are.
Yeah, and I want to add something. A lot of people still drink a lot of alcohol. I got a tip. If you do want to drink alcohol, and I don't make any money from this, I should get an affiliate code for this. But there is a GMO product called Z Biotics. And if you drink this little drink, it will convert some of the toxicity of the alcohol and the amaldehydes into something that your body can process, and you won't get a hangover the next morning. So if you do have an interview, if you do have to go to work, buy a bunch of these Z-Biotics before you drink. They're expensive, but they're really worth it. You get a clear head the next day.
That's great for if you actually drink. I'm telling you that don't give the potential future employer reasons to think that you could be an employee if they hire you who is likely to not show up at all on a Monday or not be reliable to show up on time based upon what they see in your social. And unfortunately, they might make certain assumptions based on seeing how you're dressed.
I'm not going to go through the typical questions that an interviewer will ask, because you can find so many of them. And when your interviewer asks you a question, tell me about a time when you really had a challenge and what did you do to get through it, or something like that. Consider being prepared and having a powerful story to connect your listener, right?
And really important, practice the story that you're saying it in less than 2 minutes. And there's a reason for this. Very important.
What's the reason?
What that person is looking to find out from you is really not about the story. They're really looking to find out, are you an effective communicator? Because they want to know that you're able to interact with the other people in the team to know that you're going to be able to brought into their current culture maturely with effective communication skills, who will be a very productive member of their team. And if you can tell a story about your life or a situation, hopefully looking forward, and do it clearly, concisely, they'll know that you're a very good perspective person in that regard. And remember, when the reason they're doing this on video is when you gaze to the right, that means you're looking forward to the future.
Possibly.
Hopefully.
It's possibly.
It's a likely
I mean,
scenario.
there's more tells than that. To detect this, there are great guides for learning how to detect a liar, and things like rapid blinking.
Oh.
There's a whole bunch of things that we can unpack, but that's going to be a longer
thank you for
unpack.
touching on that. So
Yeah.
That's exactly what we want to touch on next. People who hire a lot, who are trained managers, they, especially if they're the HR person, but in general, trained manager, they are taught, they self-educate, or they're taking classes, how to spot a liar. And that's really important, because remember, there is an expense for the company on hiring and onboarding new employees.
Yeah, big expense.
Regardless if it's a recent college graduate or somebody in their 30s, 40s, 50s, it is an expense for them. That is why they're so careful on who they hire. So it is important for you to watch some YouTube videos on what are the tells of a liar, to be careful not to demonstrate those behaviors.
But start being aware of that, because your interviewer is also going to give you tells. If you're telling a story and they're just like that, wrap up your story and get to the next point, because if they're not responding, if they're not engaging with you, and eye contact with Zoom and anything on the computer is a little challenging, because you don't really look at their eyes. You look at the picture of their eyes, but the camera, once again, I'm going to put my finger on, is right here. Do you look at the person that you're interviewing, or do you actually look at the camera on the screen? If you really want to be powerful in that communication, not like a psychopath or something, but you can look at the camera, and I'm looking at the camera right now. Do you feel like I'm really looking at you more intently than if I'm looking at a picture of you on the screen? Right? You see the difference. That's to the camera. Okay. Vivian, you want to take this away?
Right now, what I'd love to hear, because I know that Julie and a lot of other people in the department do a lot to get everyone prepared for their interviews. So I tried to cover less of the more common things, but I would love if everyone could please put through at least a few questions on what else we can cover. We wanted to respect everyone's time and keep it within the hour or so.
Yeah, we have less than 10 minutes. I'm not sure how much Kim or Julie would allow us to go over, but we're happy to spend a few more minutes with you guys. If you have questions, I would write them down now. And while you're writing them, we could just flip through some of the slides, right? So you see what we're saying here. Get organized, kind of know what the Q&As are going to be with this school has been going through this with you already.
But I just want to cover one other really important thing in regards to, and I know
the bonus tips.
No, actually, what I was going to say that is, again, I know that was probably covered, probably covered, but I just wanted to go over from our perspective. When we interview our guests on our TV shows, what we always ask them is to remember to use your frame. So use your hand gestures because it shows that you're passionate, to make sure they're not really huge hand gestures. Right. Remember, you're in a frame, but to make sure it's visible a little bit. So it really shows that you care, you're engaged. But when it comes to what you're wearing, here's a tip. Blue is a great color, solid colors, and less patterns if possible. The reason for that is you still want to make sure they're paying attention to you and what you're saying and who you are as a human and what you have to contribute to their company and their department, not what do they think about your wardrobe, if what you're wearing is too much. And the reason the blue, what I was showing is important is, here, the reason this blue is so important is blue is the perceived subconscious universal color for projecting trust. That they can trust what you're saying is genuine, authentic, and that you're a likable person. And the too much patterns, unfortunately, sometimes people might perceive that as a little scattered, got a lot going on. To have solid colors sends a nice calming effect for their perception. So they're really focused on what's coming out of your mouth.
Definitely. And avoid political statements on your clothing, right?
Oh, nothing with words, just plain solid colors are the best.
Yeah.
If at all possible.
Now, when I was a kid, I might come onto a Zoom interview with a tie if they had Zoom. But
in person.
But these days, it's like you could be casual. I'm wearing a white button-down shirt and a black suit jacket. You could wear a white T-shirt if you think it's appropriate, even though Vivian doesn't like it. I think you can get away with it with a jacket because it'll look kind of like
depends on that. Now,
cool.
What we both
Depends
agree
company,
on,
right?
Exactly what we were just going to say. Really important. Research the company. And I know that we all live in warm climates, unless you're going someplace else, but always defer on the side of caution and overdress. It's a job interview. You want to make sure that they know you take yourself seriously and working with them seriously, even if every day at this company is beachwear. It doesn't matter. Always overdress. The first impression is what matters. The nice suit jacket is what's best.
Without dandruff or lint or things like that. No, really, look at yourself for a second. Really just give a rundown. But don't go crazy. Just be calm. As you do these techniques, they become second nature. They're going to be easy, right?
And be easy to get along with. Smile a little bit. Try to engage with them.
Yeah.
And remember, you need to also assess what you think of them. If they give you a little bit uneasy vibes, go on to another interview. It's okay. Consider that practice. But you need to make sure that you like them also. Because sometimes, they might not make you feel comfortable and you don't want to get into a potential situation where they're like, do I really want to work there? You don't have to take the first offer, even though it might be great. Just chalk it up to this was a great experience and this is practice for you.
And I think it's always good to have a few questions that you can ask your employer.
Perfect.
As much as they're interviewing you, what Vivian said, you're interviewing them. And if you ask a deep, thoughtful question, that they can be blown away by just that question that you're going to ask. You know the question?
Actually, I was going to say is that'll knock their socks off.
Yeah.
If you ask brave questions, be a little courageous, they'll be impressed. As a matter of fact, I know that one of the most advised questions that people love the most is there anything stopping you from going forward with hiring me that I should know about that I might be able to answer as a question that might give you a little pause for concern? or something along those
That's really
lines.
good. And Sharon, thank you so much for your compliment that you're appreciating this and you're getting value. That's what we really want to offer here. And we hope that's working for you. Just in review, tech tips, right? If you get your
Don't look
hair,
like that cat. That's really not a good idea.
yeah, well, if you do and you're going for like, going to be in a punk band on TV, that would be great. But,
But odds are.
these are a review of some of the things that you may want to consider, right? We reviewed that. And again, while I'm saying this, Vivian asked if anyone has any specific questions that you want to ask or you want to share something that would be helpful for our audience today. We welcome that right now.
And one of the best benefits
right now, if you were contacted after an interview that you didn't get the job, is it okay to ask how one can improve to make sure their next application or interview can go better?
I welcome those questions. And some people that actually do so horribly on an interview and they don't even ask that question. Sometimes I offer it, but I'm a rare person to offer that.
That's
but
unusual.
definitely ask their advice. Their advice could be crap too. So just take it with a grain of salt, but put your ego in your pocket and consider what they say may have some truth or a lot of truth to it and try it out. Because this is a great time for you to experiment with what you want to do, what you like to do. Throw a dart at many different industries and many different fields, and just this is your life. Enjoy your life and do something that you can contribute to humanity with.
And
to have purpose.
And here's the bonus tip. I want everyone to look at the biggest bright side, in my opinion, for Zoom interviews is you can have this. Out of the frame that they can't see, have notes. If you want to remember that you wanted to say a few certain points, so let's say you maybe are going for a job that has some technical information involved, have it right there. They can't see it. So you actually have this advantage over video than if you're sitting in front of them in person. In front of them in person, you didn't want to have cheat sheet of notes, but you can do that here. So make sure you take full opportunity of the fact that it is a video call by having a notebook with your cheat sheets there